All right, y'all. We are back with another video, and we back with this one right here by Dr. Steve. Now, he said that the cases against Trump are collapsing. I think he's talking about the New York case as well, because y'all know how I feel about that. Feel about this case. How there's no consumers involved, there's no bank involved. They just trying to find a way to try to seize this man's assets. Like I just don't get it. With these corrupt judges, these corrupt AGs and stuff, like attorney generals, like LATITIA James, like they all in it together. They are all in it together. If y'all haven't seen my last video, how she was just staring at the back of Donald Trump's head the whole entire time. Like she thought the man was just gonna get up and run or something. And then you got this corrupt judge that's up here smirking at the camera. So you can tell, even just like Trump's attorney said, like, you could tell when you walked in that courtroom, they already had everything in place and playing with what they was gonna say or try to do to Trump. But like I said before, we all know Trump is a warrior, and he did say before he walked in that courtroom that's a rogue judge, and he already talked about how corrupt LATITIA James is too. But like I said, we're going to dive straight into this. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing so much support, everybody leaving positive comments in the comment section. And I also want to thank everybody who clicked on this video for the very first time. I appreciate you as well. Without further ado, let's see what Dr. Steve got to say about this and why the cases against Trump are collapsing.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor. As you can see, I'm still on the road here, coming to you from Irving, Texas, but I'm still here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and very, very turbulent times. So wherever you are, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The cases against President Trump are unraveling, and we may even be seeing the Supreme Court finally intervene in all this. Let's start with what's going on in New York. An appeals court has put a stop to that woke judge's order to break up President Trump's businesses in New York. As I'm sure you may know by now, Judge Engoron, or the snow miser as I prefer, has weaponized the legal system against President Trump. You'll note that there are no banks or insurance companies suing Trump. No one. None of New York's banks or insurance companies, no actual business entities are suing him. And that's, of course, because every single one of these banks did their own due diligence in estimating the worth of Trump's properties. And that's the key. They, the banks and insurance companies, determined the worth of Trump's properties. But the state of New York, through this Maoist judge, is accusing Trump of, quote, overvaluing his properties. So they're fining him hundreds of millions of dollars. They're in the process of trying to break up the Trump organization and seizing control of his properties, including Trump Tower, and even penalizing his kids, for heaven's sake. His kids are being brought into all of this. It's utterly insane. Well, thankfully, a New York appellate court has just stepped in and canceled Judge Engoron's ruling that forced the Trump organization to cancel business certificates and appoint receivers. So for at least the next month, this judge can't touch Trump's company. It's a huge defeat for the state's case against Trump, led by this judge and, of course, New York's insanely woke Attorney General LATITIA James. And this is yet the latest defeat for her. I mean, if you recall, on day one of the trial, the judge conceded that the statute of limitations are in effect on transactions that have closed prior to 2014, which means, according to Trump, that basically 80% of this case got thrown out on day one. And LATITIA James was so angry that she reportedly left the courtroom without granting a single interview, given that she just lost 80% of her case against Trump on the first day because she can't figure out what the heck statute of limitations actually are. So that's what's going on in New York. Let's go to the classified documents case. So Judge Eileen Cannon, who's overseeing that case, has halted any and all legal proceedings related to the classified materials as Trump's attorneys request an extension of the deadlines in the case. Now, the main issue here involves how the court is supposed to handle the classified materials that are at the center of the case. The materials are sensitive, of course, because of national security requirements, but that does beg the question, given that it is President Trump who alone has the ultimate decision-making authority in terms of what is and is not classified. Not a court, not a bureaucrat, or any other unelected official. But regardless, the judge in this case established several deadlines for ruling on those issues, and Trump's legal team has filed a motion asking her for a 3-month extension, complaining that they've still not been granted access to significant portions of the materials that they have a right to see based on discovery. So it looks like this whole attempt at weaponizing the legal system against Trump is starting to meet some significant obstacles and barriers in the courts, which of course raises the question, when will the Supreme Court finally intervene in all this? Well, we may have just gotten an answer on that. But first, you need to click on that link below and get yourself our brand new Trump for Speaker gear to show your support for the populist forces that are amassing across the country. These are power. Just a few days back, President Trump filed a motion to dismiss his January 6th case pending against him, citing presidential immunity as a grounds to dismiss the case in its entirety. Now, this is huge because the motion equally applies to the Fulton County prosecution as well. Both cases against Trump involve what he did as president. And the notion here is that Trump, as president, has immunity from prosecution. Now, we've already seen a state judge rule in Trump's favor on this. A Pennsylvania judge recently ruled that Trump cannot be sued or indicted precisely because of the protection provided to him by what's called presidential immunity. Judge Michael Erdos ruled that Trump's immunity extends to a tweet he posted and statements he made during a Pennsylvania State Senate committee hearing back in November of 2020, where Trump...
It just amazes me, like, how scared these people are against Trump. Like, they are very, very just terrified of this man. I mean, if we all been seeing, like, this whole entire year, we seen the things that Donald Trump has been going through. And I mentioned this before, that I've not seen another president that had to go through as much stuff as Donald Trump. I mean, look at everything that done happened this year and still going on. All these court proceedings and stuff. You got this corrupt judge that's smirking and smiling, and Attorney General LATITIA James, you know what I'm saying, just being corrupt. And then you can tell she don't like him for personal reasons. She don't really have a reason not to like. She just don't like him. So that was just her whole point of trying to take this man down, just because you got a personal vendetta against this man just because you don't like him. That ain't a reason to take somebody to court. That ain't a reason to try to take somebody down because you don't like him. Trump done said this. Trump said that. He said, she just don't like me. This is personal for her. And we already knew that judge was corrupt. When I first seen that judge, when they put that camera on that judge, I like, oh yeah. When he started smiling and smirking like something was funny, because if you go in court, you don't see judges doing it. What judge do you see smiling and smirking? Don't nobody smile or smirk in court. And being in court is not a laughing matter. It's not a smiling matter. Even though you the judge, you ain't smiling either. You know what I'm saying? It's all big. But when you smiling and you smirking, then that make people like, he is up to something. And Trump knew this judge was corrupt before he even went in there. When he had the interview outside the courtroom, he said, this judge is a rogue judge. He don't know what he's talking about. He's just trying to seize my properties and stuff like, come on, y'all. Like, what is going on here? There are no consumers. There are no banks that is suing Donald Trump. He even said, the banks, they got their money back. So now y'all just trying to take from me now. It's crazy. This is crazy that Trump has to go through stuff like this. And I see the reason why the cases are falling. The cases are collapsing. I said this before. Trump is going to get out of all of this. And when he do, I'm going to bring it all the way back to the video when I first said that Trump is going to get out of all of this. I don't care what they do. The man is still going to become president next year. And then we'll still love him, love to have him at House Speaker for a little while. He said he would step in to be the House Speaker until the Republicans get it together and see who they really want up in there. But he'll be the interim, you know what I'm saying, person to go up in there and speak. And they don't like that either. It's like everything Trump get granted with, they try to find a way and a reason to take it away from him. And that what pisses a lot of us off. Because this right here is just a personal attack on Trump. All of this stuff is just personal attacks. Like he said before, if I wasn't running for president, none of this wouldn't even be happening to me. This is crazy. The man shouldn't have to go through this. But we stand with Trump. Make sure y'all put in the comment section, Trump 2024, man. Let's go.
Of course, alleged fraudulent activity in the state's election counting process. Yep. The lawsuit against Trump was brought by one of the supervisors of Pennsylvania's voting machines during the 2020 election. And that supervisor claimed that President Trump and others, Rudy Giuliani in particular, had conspired to slander him, caused him to receive death threats, and even suffer, two heart attacks. Poor fellow. But according to this Pennsylvania judge, Trump's actions are indeed protected under what's called presidential immunity. Now, this protection comes from a Supreme Court case called Nixon versus Fitzgerald. And constitutional scholars argue that the decision gives the president absolute immunity for all the actions done as president, even if those actions were unlawful. I mean, it's very, very interesting. And now it's starting to make the rounds more and more that these 4 cases against Trump may indeed end up getting tossed out precisely because even the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, they all deal with actions Trump engaged in as president. Now, the real question in all of this is simply, is Trump's motion to dismiss based on his claims of absolute presidential immunity appealable pre-trial? In other words, can this ruling be used by the Trump team to demand an appellate process before all his trials begin, so that those appeals ultimately end up in the Supreme Court before any of these trials actually start? This wouldn't affect the New York trial, by the way, because that involves actions Trump took before becoming president. But all the other cases, all the 4, have the potential of collapsing if Trump's appeals to presidential immunity are found to have a pre-trial legitimacy, which means that the appeals process for that immunity would end up in the Supreme Court, and their ruling could just throw this whole thing down. So all of this is to say that Biden's attempt at jailing his main political opposition may indeed end up backfiring once and for all.
Hey, gang, I know what it...
Shout out to Dr. Steve for another great video, man. Yep, that's the reason why I say yes, it's falling apart. Trump will get out of all of this. We see what's going on. We know what's happening. We ain't stupid. We ain't stupid over here. We know exactly what's going on. We know that Trump has said this numerous of times, almost in all his interviews. These right here just an election interference. It's another trying to stop him become president, and now you got another corrupt judge trying to take from him. You want to try to take this man's assets, his Trump Tower, all his business. You're trying to interrupt with that. See, and that's the thing. Like I said, all of these are personal attacks on this man. Personal. You can't take nobody to court over personal, because you got a personal vendetta against this man just because you don't like him. I guess you don't like what he do or like what he say. So you want to come up with a reason and find a reason to take him to court to see if you can take him down over your personal reasons of not liking him. It shouldn't work that way. But like I said, I will keep y'all updated. Once again, shout out to Dr. Steve. I will leave the original video in the description. Make sure y'all go show Dr. Steve some love. It will be in the description. I want to thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.